Alright, the ship has lost all gravity. Oh my gosh. It just split in two and it's gone. Well then. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm back in Floating Sandbox and we're continuing the Build a Ship series. If you haven't seen the first episode, a link will be in the top right corner. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, in that previous episode, I did ask you guys to leave some suggestions for things I should build onto the ship, and you guys certainly did deliver. Now, a lot of people wanted to see roughly 2 or 3 funnels, some said 4, and some came up with some creative ideas like building shorter funnels like what you would see on the SS United States and SS America. While I really like that idea, the majority of you wanted to see 3 funnels, so yeah, here are all the comments suggesting those 3 funnels there. Now, some of you wanted to see a ballroom, and I thought that was a really cool idea. And the last thing we're going to build today is a wheelhouse and a wireless room, because we need that for communication and also to drive the ship. Now, if you didn't see your comment or suggestion featured, you can always comment the same suggestion down below, and then I can pull from there. Some of the comments I didn't feature because we're not there yet. We're not ready to build those areas. So I actually will be going back to some of these older episodes and pulling some of the comments. So if you want to leave the comment and hope it gets featured, you can do that, or you can just make a new one. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to building. Alright, so here we are in the ship builder, and you may notice the ship looks a little bit different. It's a little more detailed, and that's because a couple of commenters mentioned that the scale is just going to be too small for building any of the detailed interiors, like what we're going to be doing today with the dining room. But yeah, I went in and changed the size of the canvas and redrew the ship, and now we have a larger vessel. Well, it's the same size. It's just now we have more space on the floors for more detail. So, let's go ahead and let's get building. Now, the first thing we're going to do is build these funnels. So I'm going to go ahead and select the material that we're going to need for it, which is going to be this metal here. Now, I'm just going to mess around with a couple of designs. Maybe I'll just stick with the first one that I build. We'll see. I think something like this looks alright, but it could change. I'm not sure. Now, since you guys wanted to see 3, we've got to figure out the right scaling that we need, so maybe we'll do something like that. It looks like it could be a little small for a ship's funnel, but we'll see what happens when we copy and paste it. Okay, so there it is. Yeah, I think this is a little too small, so let's go ahead and let's scale up. Alright, so there it is. We've got one massive angled rectangle on the top of the ship. And in my opinion, it doesn't look too great, but we can make it look a little bit better with something like that. Alright, so this is sort of what I'm going for here, at least based on your suggestions. Now, I am going to copy this and move it forward a little bit. There we go. I could actually do something like this so it's more centered. Alright, so there it is, and I think once we add some more details, they'll look a bit better. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's get the uptakes out of the way, because we're going to need to build those. So we'll start drawing in some bulkheads. Alright, now that that's out of the way, I've run into a bit of an issue. We've got this bulkhead directly underneath the uptake for the second funnel. So what we could do is split the uptake, which has been done before in other ships, so yeah, why don't we do that? Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and put in some watertight doors. So we can just go ahead and drag a line all the way across and delete this section. And now we've got a way where we can put in some watertight doors later. Now, one other thing I'm going to do is add some cargo hatches all the way down to the bottom of the ship. Alright, so there we go, we got that done, and yeah, this is starting to come together. So let's go ahead and let's move on to that dining room. You guys wanted to see a ballroom-style dining room, so I'm thinking of a skylight overhead and multiple floors where you can eat and look down on maybe a show going on or something like that. We're also going to have to add in a main staircase today, so that might actually end off at the main dining room. So I'm going to cut out a massive space in the ship, and I think it's going to be right here. This is where we're going to have the dining room. So let's go ahead and let's build in 2 small walls here. This is where our skylight is going to be. Now we're going to build some balconies here so people can look down onto the lower level. Now I can actually add some trim to the floor here, which would look nice. There we go. So let's go ahead and let's add in some glass windows. Alright, so our portholes are in place, and let's go ahead and let's add the glass dome overhead. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in the seats. So we'll put in a table, and then a seat backing that one, a table, and then another seat. And then the process repeats. Now I'm going to add just 2 openings in the uptake here to allow water to evenly distribute across the ship. Alright, so there we go. But I would imagine we would have the main staircase just forward in this area. So what I can do is quickly fill in all this here, and then I can grab the wooden material and add in the staircase. So we're going to make it go down like this, and then we're going to remove the floor between. Now I would imagine that as we go further into the ship, the staircase is going to get less elaborate, so we'll make it sort of a different material. I'm going to use this material here. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did earlier and just poke some holes here so water can go through the ship. Now we're going to add a skylight overhead as we usually do with these interiors. So I'm just going to build the skylight up here. There we are. And then we will fill in the skylight with the same material as earlier. So just the wood and the glass. Alright, so we've got our staircase. We've got our main ballroom dining area. And you know what? We could actually make this ballroom more elaborate with more windows. Alright, so that's the basic design. Now we can actually add in some more color. It definitely looks like a disco is happening in there. Now that that's out of the way, let's work on the bridge and the wireless room. So let's fill in this space with a different type of wood. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some glass in for the windows here. There we go. And I'll also add some windows for each room. So this will be the chart room, and then back here will be the wireless room. Now for the chart room, I'll put in a seat with a table. And then in the wireless room, we're going to have a seat at the wireless machine. And I'll also add in another table with some chairs so the crew can sit down. Same as with the chart room there. Now in the wheelhouse, we're going to add the helm. So let's go ahead and get some metal that looks like the telemotor. And then I'm going to use this opaque air to create a doorway outside. So we can imagine there's sort of a walk around just outside the bridge. Alright, so there we go. We've got a bridge with a wireless room and chart room. We've got a ballroom and a dining room, as well as a main staircase. So let's go ahead and let's give it a test sink and we'll see what happens. Now instead of blowing the ship up with explosives, I think ramming it into an island is definitely a little more interesting. So here we go. And there it is. It has just crashed into an island, and it actually doesn't seem to have done too much. But we're going to let it flood, and we'll see what happens. Now, I don't think it's totally going to sink, but it is going to sit really low in the water. You can see the double bottom has been damaged, and it is flooding through the ship. And we've got water actually cascading back because we have no watertight doors yet. The ship is really unfinished. Since we haven't worked on any of this stern area, it's definitely gonna stay afloat back there, but I know our passenger compartments we just added are gonna go under because we opened up the uptake in the center of the ship. Now the water is taking a path up the open cargo area, and it is slowly flooding out. You can see it's flooding forward, but it is also gonna flood this space if it goes down far enough. And back here you can see the water has just filled up the entire space. And, yeah, we will see what happens from here. I think it's just gonna go up the uptakes, and maybe it'll flood the passenger compartments. But the buoyancy may hold it back from doing that, because we do have a lot of sealed spaces here. Now, these areas down here would be great for crew spaces, maybe a galley or food storage, a bunch of other stuff. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with for ideas, so we can add them to the ship. However, the water is starting to flood up to this space, which means it's going to enter the passenger compartments and staircase. And you can actually see it's starting to do that now. Alright, so there goes the water. It is starting to flood over the divider wall there. And it looks like I built these staircases out of a watertight material, so I've got to fix that. And then we will do one final test with the ship. However, I will assure you it will not survive. Whoa, the ship just dropped a lot there, very quickly as well. So I think we just lost a lot of buoyancy near the bow section. So let's take a look and see what happens when I flood these areas. We can quickly figure out what's watertight and what's not. And you can see that, of course, this would flood, but it's not going to do much because the buoyancy is holding the ship up. So even if I flooded water up here, it's not going to do too much. And as I say that, it just cascades into the dining room there. So yeah, pretty slow process, but let me go back to the editor and fix up those issues. Alright, so I think that should fix everything. I got the staircases all fixed up. I fixed some of the wood over here, and now let's go ahead and let's return. Alright, so here we are. We're back in the main simulation here, and what we're going to do is we are just going to put this ship up against a test it will not survive. There we go. Antimatter bomb. Alright, antimatter bomb versus ship in 3, 2, 1. Alright, the ship has lost all gravity. Oh my gosh. It just split in two, and it's gone. Well then. That was something. The ship has been reduced to particles. I think that's the best way to describe it. So, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you all next time, guys. Goodbye.